All praises to the Most High. We thank you, brothers and sisters, for visiting the channel. There's not many of us, but I thank God for those of you who can see the vision and can see the purpose of studying history uh, from this concept, from these concepts of us being the first Americans, us being the Northern Kingdom, backtracking our history and how they got us to this point where we believe that they brought us over here. No land belongs to us. We believe that. We believe that Christianity, we're going to show you videos how they set all of this stuff of how we started believing in Christianity. They mapped it out. They showed us how they forced us to assimilate into their 13 colonies, right? Because at that point, they were claiming to be Americans. They weren't even claiming to be a part of Britain. At this point, they don't claim any of that. They claim that they are the Americans, and the so-called Native Americans are the first people. But we want to disannul that claim and show you exactly how it happened. They're doing the same thing. The devil has no new bag of tricks. The same thing he did, he repeats it over and over. He's repeating it now. They replace people, okay? And I'm going to prove to you today that they replace us with us, okay? I said, how is that? What do you mean? They replaced us with us. When they got here, we knew who we were, right? We knew that we were the Israelites because the first Americans, who were the Northern Kingdom, they taught their children the history of who they were. They couldn't help it. They were still speaking Hebrew. They were still writing in Hebrew. And their conscience was still toward the East, their homeland. That was the reason they came over here. Now, did some of the tribes go off into idolatry? Yes. That's why God had to send a nation on us to punish us, because we were sinners. We were drawn away by idols and the false way of the heathens. We worshiped the idols and did the worship. We worshiped their gods. We were drawn away. So God had to, after we got here, He had to send the heathens, Edomites, over here to put us in captivity. He had already 70 AD. He already took down Jerusalem. Christ, Yahushua, prophesied what would happen there. So that should be an eye-opener right there. Why did the apostles and all of those 5,000 men that joined the church and received the Holy Spirit had to die a horrible death? You know what I mean? Why did they have to die? Why wasn't death put under His feet? The Bible said death was put under Christ's feet, right? And if we believed in Christ, we should have been redeemed from the death, from the law. Redeemed. We say we redeemed from the law. We should have been redeemed from the law of sin and death. Christ paid the price. So why didn't Christ then, after He died and was risen again, why didn't He go and He had the power. Anybody that can raise themselves from the dead, like you guys say, can easily go take down King Herod and the Romans. That's nothing. So we're going to get into this video. I knew that was going to happen. We're going to get into this video.
Hey, Cracker Barrel Cheese. Tonight's the night.
Let me see if I can block that off. Okay. Yeah. We're going to block that out. Let's run this back. We're going to begin with this video here because this is this is not a bag of new tricks. This is the old trick played over and over again. They replaced us with us, right? Now, we know there is the hijacking going on. They're not going to use the black Indians or the black people, but they're going to be so close to it, you know. So they show you a Middle Eastern type of brown colored people. They show you how they did it with the so-called Native Americans, the new Native Americans. So their people they don't use white kids like they do in the movie. They use the colored kids, the brown kids. So their people who they are raising up will know what they done. You know, they might not be able to come out and tell the world, but when they show you these brown people, those blonde-haired, blue-haired kids that's learning what they should do to hold this nation and to hold everything like their ancestors delivered it to them, will know we did this to the brown people. They know we were here first. They know who we are. It's in the history books. It's in the dictionary. The Coppertone people were the first Americans. It said nothing about these Native Americans going to Canada and all of that. No. So this is what they done. We're going to just begin right here. Fair use, 1976 act. That for new we can use, it's fair to use videos for teaching and educating and other purposes. It's fair use. So here we go. Let's try it again. Yeah, I got the volume off. We're gonna have to.
President Obama separated the children.
That's it. And what's my point here? Let's go.
Obama separated the children. Just so you understand. President Obama separated the children. Those cages that were shown, I think they were very inappropriate. They were built by President Obama's administration, not by Trump. President Obama had child separation.
All right. Now, there's one thing about Trump. You put his foot in the fire, he'll tell on everybody, man. He's the first one that told us that the Indians were black. Remember the videos on YouTube right now. When they had him in Congress, they had him up before the Senate, and he was complaining because they wouldn't give him money, a grant to open a casino down there. He said because they told him, you're not Native American. You're not a Native American. He said these other blonde-haired, blue-eyed people that you're giving it to with a little, that say they 1%, they got 1% Native American blood. He said they're not the Native Americans either. He said, last I checked, the Native Americans look like Michael Jordan. Now, did all the Native Americans, they all 6'6", with dark black skin? No, he was 6'6" and bald-headed. No, he was talking about his color. Okay, let's keep listening.
Take a look. The press knows it. You know it. We all know it. I'm the one that stopped it. President Obama had child separation. Now, I'll tell you something.
Check that out right there. Child separation. That's what they call it. Separate the children from the parents. And I'm going to show you in history. Let me calm down. I'm going to show you in history where they have always separated the children from the parents. The children are from Africa to now. They never tried to capture the warriors because they would get their ass tore up. They didn't go after the warriors. They lured the warriors off to a war, a fake war. They lured them away from their families, and then they had another team to go in and take the women and kids back to the fort. Same with Africa. They caught the women and children going through the forests, and they captured them, put them in ropes and chains, and lured them back to the ships, right? Or to where they were holding them at the by gunpoint. at the forts in Africa, at the slave ports, right? That's an old trick. The devil has no new tricks. That's an old trick. That's something that they were successful for. Why would they stop using it? Okay? Let's finish this one.
Once you don't have it, that's why you see many more people coming. They're coming like it's a picnic, because let's go to Disneyland. President Obama separated children. They had child separation. I was the one that changed it. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay? So that's one thing about Trump, man, I'm gonna tell you. And all those politicians. Right? That's one thing about all those politicians, man. Let me go back to that history. Wow. Let's see. Something is not right. Okay. All right. I went there first. Let me go here. Indigenous survivors. Okay.
Chief Bear, thanks so much for being with us. I understand you went to one.
Let's listen to him. This now, see, that's what I was telling. This is hijacking the truth. They set these people in here instead of the real. We got other videos of the real Native Americans. Let me get off of there. We got other videos of the real Native Americans, but they are using these people, and we're going to use this video because he's going to tell you, they're going to tell you how it happened. We'll let these fake Native Americans tell you how it happened. Fake Northern Kingdom tell you how it happened, okay?
The shocking discoveries of several hundred unmarked graves at former boarding schools for Indigenous children in Western Canada has focused attention on a dark chapter of that nation's history. As John Yang reports, it is a story of forced assimilation and physical, emotional, and sexual abuse.
Okay, you see what was going on, right? That's how these people, it's the same pattern. Aren't they doing the same thing? Can't you recognize their MO? Forced assimilation and sexual abuse, murder, rape. Ain't that what we teach? Ain't that what we preach? Ain't that the history, okay, of these people? Okay, let's see.
Judy, for more than a century, the children of Canadian Native communities, including what's known as the First Nations, were taken from their families and sent to Christian boarding schools run for the government, about 70% of them run by the Catholic Church. An estimated 150,000 children passed through these schools before they were closed in 1996. They were
okay. If they ran 150,000, and you know they the youngest nation, that people, they were not the people that we saw and all the explorers saw, who Columbus saw, when they got here. They are part of the civilized tribe. They are younger than the Trail of Tears. If they were the civilized tribes and the people they sent on the Trail of Tears, then they didn't look like this. Those people didn't look like this. These are the offspring of those fake people they set up as the Native Americans that they sent over to parade as the natives so they could steal the land. This is all about stealing the rights to the land, because they knew one day we were going to wake up. If they had just, not staged any acting, any people, any red herrings, any decoys to who the people are, they knew it would have been a lot easier. They thought by doing this, we would never, dumb black niggas would never find out what we done. Because why? What they're doing here. This is how they erased our memory. They didn't erase our memory. They stole our kids and taught them the history. They rewrote the history in the minds of the children. That's why we are still calling ourselves Negro, Black, and Colored, because they rewrote our history to tell us, to make us believe that we came from nowhere, a dark hill in Africa. Why do you think all of us are saying the same thing? Because they rewrote this in our children, and our children taught their children, their children, their children, taught their children this history that they wrote in our minds, in our children's minds. That's why none of us want to veer away from this, because we think this is of God. We think how we think and feel about ourselves is a mirror from God, but it's a mirror from the white man's playbook, okay? From the nation's playbook, because they all played a part in solidifying this falsehood about who we are. All the nations. Look in Psalms 83, it'll show you who the enemies are, but he's going to show us what they done right here. I got a bunch of videos. It won't take but a second. I'm not going to play the long ones all the way through. Let's see.
80% of them run by the Catholic Church. An estimated...
Did you hear what he said? These boarding schools, okay, I'm going to go back to what I was saying. Now, if they ran over 180,000 of their children, he's going to tell you, if they ran over 180,000, I think the 1900s, when this was done, but they started doing this to us as soon as they got here. Why? Because they know that they needed a group of people to replace us as their slaves. Now, why would they use their own children? They wouldn't. They use our children to replace us as their slaves, because they knew they couldn't capture the warriors, but they knew taking our children, breaking them down, would break them down and make them feel hopeless. That's how they degrade a people. That's what they do. That's what they're doing in Haiti. That's what they're doing in Ukraine. That's what they do in the Middle East. That's what they did in Gaza. That's what they've always done. In Africa, they degrade you. They break you down to nothing, your lower state, so you can feel hopeless. And out of feeling hopeless, you never try to pull yourself up and fight these people and stand against the evildoers. Who will stand with me against these evildoers? That's what the Most High is crying for us to say now. That's what he said in Hosea when he said we will gather ourselves together. We ain't going to be able to gather ourselves in fear of these people, because we scared to death of them. They taught that fear in us from these little children, slapping us at the head. My 5th grade science teacher used to slap us across our head with his ring. I was scared to death of the man, because I knew I would probably take a chair or something and beat him to death if he hit me with that ring. But he hit a lot of us, and they submitted. And, oh, Mr. Herman, I remember his name. My 5th grade teacher, I remember his name. Mr. Herman, okay. That's how they kept us in line. They beat us in line, right? So let's look at this. Would they replace us with our children to make sure they had the degraded slaves? They were enslaving the right people. They took our children and enslaved us. And that's what they're doing now. They're replacing us with the terror, their bastard children. They don't care about them either. That's why you see those light-skinned mulatto terror coming up here, just destroying everything. But why? Because they're mad at their parents for treating them like niggas and making them live in the slave quarters with us. And that's why they're mad. That's why the police ain't arresting them. They know what they're thinking. They get in there and say, I'm white. My daddy was blue. Get in court and talk to them. My daddy was blue-haired, blind-eyed. I'm a Spaniard. And what can they say? Yeah, we know that was wrong. They let them out without bond. Okay, let's keep watching.
150,000 children passed through these schools before they were closed in 1996.
1996? They kept this up to 1996, this boarding school stuff? No, they're doing it right now. That's what the public school system is. The same thing. Get your kids out of those schools, man, and gather up and trust in the Most High. Stop fearing these people, because fear of these people, you fear these people means you have doubt God and you have faith in the devil. When you fear the devil, it means you doubt God and you have faith in the devil. Think about it. Check it out.
They were banned from speaking their languages or practicing their traditions. Children died and their families were never told, their bodies never returned. After the discovery of these graves over the last 6 weeks, indigenous leaders have demanded an investigation into what they call a crime against humanity. Heather Bear is vice.
Now, these Indians, these so-called Indians, they can understand that it was a crime against humanity when you did them like that. These white Indians, so-called white people who say they were the first Americans, they understand that doing this is a crime against humanity. But what nation have ever said that doing us the way they did us is a crime against humanity? Because they don't deem us human. Why? Because they know we are the first humans. We are the true humans. Hue, color and melanin, human, men with color, with melanin in their skin. So in order to hide us from ourselves, they can never call us human. They have to deny our humanity when our humanity is in our skin. They do not have humanity. If they've got any pigment, it's not as much as ours. That's why God said he loved the humans. He placed us above all the nations of the earth because they were breeding the hue out of their skin. That's what these people do because they want to cater to Esau. They want to make Esau look like he's the God. So the Tare, they breed the hue out of their skin. They breed humanity out of their race. That means they become beast. They become the beast. They are the image of the beast. You're not human if you don't have hue in your skin. If you don't have the laws of God, you're not human. You're not judging and living according to God. You're not a human. You're a creature. You're a beast. And they know they are the beast. Crimes against humanity. Come on.
Chief of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous First Nations, which represents 74 First Nations, into what they call a crime against humanity. Heather Bear is vice chief of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous First Nations, which represents 74 First Nations.
Okay, we don't need no more of this. I'm gonna keep on. We're gonna keep going. Let's see. That was that. Let's go here.
That it was a place where children lived away from their family and attended school.
Okay, let's go.
Hello. I just got home from camp. It lasted 2 weeks. It was fun, but I got a little homesick. I'm so happy to be home with my family. My grandmother told me about a time when she became very homesick. It was when she had to attend a boarding school, when she was my age. I did not know what a boarding school was, so she explained that it was a place where children lived away from their family and attended school. I asked her if it was like when Aunt Pam went to college. She said, kind of, but in the past, there were many differences. She explained that a long time ago, more than 100 years ago,
Okay, more than 100 years ago. Now, okay, so they prepared. So what this is showing me here, now those are not the same. Those are basically, yeah, they are the same people. But these are people who have the hue out of their skin and they don't have their Christ-like hair. They don't have the wool and they don't have the dark skin. Right? You breed people. Didn't I just say they breed the hue out of your skin? Okay? They bred the hue out of these people. I'm backtracking. Believe it or not, I'm backtracking. Okay? I'm going to show you another where the hue gets darker, where the people get darker. They breathe the hue out of your skin. Let's make the race better. Ain't that what the so-called some of the Hispanics say? You can't breed your father's bloodline out, dummy. You can breed that color out of your skin, but you can't breed your father's bloodline. Okay?
Late 1800s, the U.S. government made agreements with the Ochedi people to provide the native children with an education.
Late 1800s, right? That's around the Trail of Tears. So that's why they called them civilized, because they had raised these children from what we just saw. From what we just saw, we know they raised these children.
Many boarding schools were established to educate the Ochedi children from the area, which is now South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota.
Okay, so we know they educated them in those boarding schools after the Trails of Tears, right? They said the late 1800s. So they took them up there, took the kids from those original Indians, because you know the Seminole Indians didn't go up there with them. The black Seminole Indians, did not go to the Trail of Tears with through up to Oklahoma and stuff, because somewhere down the line they took their guns, and they said once they got them there, they said we're gonna have food up here for you. You ain't gotta hunt, you ain't gonna do nothing. We're gonna bring you the food that you was eating down in Florida. Okay, we're gonna make sure we provide you with provisions like they do now. They took our grocery stores, they took our fruit trees out of our lands, they took our houses and put us in apartments where we couldn't grow our food, we couldn't cultivate, right? And they said, go to our stores, eat our food. We're gonna cultivate you. We're gonna take care of you here. So that's what they did, right? Let me go back and catch my thought.
With an education. Many boarding schools were established to educate the Ochedi children from the area, which is now South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota.
See, the boarding schools, you hear what he said? He said the boarding schools were started. Why did they care about the kids' education? They drunks and alcoholic and dope addicts up there. They not building anything up there now. They didn't do it so they could be better citizens and be better and build bigger and better communities for the earth. They did it for what he said, to educate them away from their culture.
Nebraska, and Montana. The U.S. government not only wanted the Ochedi children to learn reading, science, and math, but they also wanted them to change and be like other English-speaking people in the United States. These boarding...
So what he's saying, and the same thing, I told somebody this, it ain't necessary to learn all that math and science and shit. That ain't why you go to school. You go to school so you can assimilate into their culture. You can know your place. You can assimilate and start functioning as the good slaves they want you to. They got high-paying slaves, right? You continue your education, then they'll put you in a high-paying job, but you'll still have a slave master over you. You won't be free. You still gonna be a nigga. You still gonna be not human. And the human is showing in your face. Okay?
Schools made rules to keep the Ochedi children from speaking their language, from dressing and wearing their...
Why did they teach us English? And take our culture away? So we wouldn't know that we were the gods of the earth. We are the gods of the earth. They're using these people. This is Hollywood. Remember, this is Hollywood. Yeah, they did these people like this in the 1800s. But they did us like this first. Right? They did us like this, and they continue to do us like this. The black Indians, the Seminole Indians, they made treaties with them down in Florida to get them to go on the Trail of Tears. If they had them defeated, if they didn't have no oversight of like the Human Rights Association, if they had those Seminole Indians defeated down in Florida, they would have killed them all, man, and got rid of them. They had beat every army. They held the line in Florida. And I'm going to show you what happened when they, after, and so they signed peace treaties, a peace treaty with these group of people. They had some mixed race down here. In other words, they had these people right here was with the black Seminole Indians. Right? That's why the Seminole Indians went down there. They hid them and build them up strong enough to where they could defeat the French, the Spanish, the British. They held them all off in Florida. And so they wouldn't have signed peace treaty if the British wouldn't have went down there with peace treaties and stuff with a forked tongue. If they had the people defeated, they would just kill them off and took the land. No, they did. They had to trick them. They had to say, "Okay, y'all got us. We don't want no more. We don't want no more bloodshed. Well, y'all just let us have this since we on the East Coast. This is our colony right here, and y'all go take the rest of the world, the rest of the countries." So when they started on their trail of tears, it was such a hard trail that they lost so many men and women that they were not strong enough to protect themselves from that army that was following them to kill them. But the Seminole Indians, here's what they did. Here's what stopped these natives from being killed and some of the brown people that was with them, their children. The Seminole Indians took off, made a left turn towards the west coast and went right over in Mexico, where they are still there. It's a whole town there. Did the army follow them? Yeah, they followed them over in Mexico. They didn't have enough guns to fight that army, so they took off and ran in Mexico. When they got in Mexico, Mexico gave them asylum. And what did they do? They sit in that town in Mexico and held the border down to where the French, the Union, or whoever them Edomites was that came in there could not take that country. They could not take that city and that region from the Seminole Indians. They never went into captivity. They went over there with the few guns they had and their war tactics and skills and beat the hell out of them Edomites that tried to come in there. So much so that they left them alone and went back to their, let's get the rest of these niggas' kids and make our slaves. Forget about them Indians. Forget about those Seminole. Let's get the rest of these. It's enough. There's 500 tribes out here that we hadn't even messed with. Let's get this railroad running through here and keep that Gatling gun on that railroad, and we could eat their ass up as they try to attack us. They ran that Gatling gun from east to west until they took the rest of those nations until they died. They took their children, put them in the forts, and degraded the mental wellness of the warriors. That's when that Thanksgiving. That's that Thanksgiving. They continue that once a year where they would slaughter whole tribes, cut the babies out, stop them from delivering their babies, kill their women and kids, and take so many into captivity. That was an ongoing. It was every week until Lincoln begged them to make it once a year, right? Thanksgiving once a year now, okay? And we celebrate it. Okay, let's just go on.
In their own traditional ways, and even from thinking and praying in the ways they had learned from their parents. These changes were very hurtful to the children and to...
Now, what these people had learned from their parents was what the Seminole Indians taught them about the Most High. Have they said anything else about their gods? Now, the modern ones, the modern Indians, they go and talk about God is in the moon and in everything. That's Egyptians. That's what the white man taught them. Didn't know Indian had no belief like that. They believed in the Most High and the Mosaic Law. And that's what they taught these people. They taught their kids, and they said that their kids said The people said that they remember from a child that them telling them don't pray, that God ain't the God y'all serve ain't the real God. This image of the beast, this white Jesus is the real God. We can show you in this Bible. We can show you. We have the history of the real God and the real people of God, which would be. The girl said, she said she looked at Jesus and said, and they said, this is God's son. And then she said she looked at the Quaker Oat box and said, that must be God. Who said that? Sister Wesley, Sister Wesley, yeah. You know who I am, that doctor. She's a medical doctor. She's a black medical doctor. And she taught Cress Welsing, right? Frances Cress Welsing, the black woman that drug them through the mud, Phil Donahue and all white supremacists through the mud before she died. Okay? So let's keep going. You know what we're proving. We're proving there's no devil has no new tricks, and he replaces the races with their children because he wants to keep the people who he deemed worthless, who he deemed godly, who he says he's the enemy of. He wants to keep them in slavery as slaves, and the only way he could do that is to miseducate them and make them into permanent homeborn slaves, right? And take the children and keep enslaving the children, and you will have you won't have any more warriors. Willie Lynch told you how to do that. 500 years you could do that. He said if you turn them, if you make their thinking, their cognitive, if you give them cognitive distance and Stockholm syndrome and fear of us, and put the fear of God, we are gods, the Edomites are the gods, right? Put the fear of God in them, then it'll last. And they'll teach each other. It'll last infinitive. They'll teach each other the fear of the white man. And we'll never have to do this again. That's what's happened. That's what they continue to do. That's why they are afraid to death right now that cycle has been broken, because all of our children and all of our young people are destroyed. All but one thing. They're waking up. Those dry bones are beginning to get that life in them again. The flesh on their bones, the teaching. The earth helped the woman, right? The earth helped the Israelites. Why? By destroying them and putting so much havoc on their race. Christ is doing it. He said, you're going to know. God said, you're going to know. They're going to know it's me that they laughed and talked about and said I couldn't protect my people from them. They're going to know it's me kicking their ass. Now, I don't know if God said that or not, but he'll use them kind of words. He damned them. He called you dumbasses. Yeah. So, yeah, they'll know it's me when them tornadoes and fires and animal bites and killing, fentanyl. When that hit them, they can't fight nobody because they can't fight me. Let's go.
To all the Ochedi Shakulim people, this caused some of the people to forget their language, forget their culture and stories, and forget how wonderful their traditions are. My grandmother said that going away to school and all the changes were very hard, and it made her very sad and homesick. I told her that it makes me sad to hear about. Then my grandmother explained that today things are different. There are still some boarding schools, but unlike 100 years ago, the kids and their families have a choice of whether or not to attend.
See?
She also said that today
see what happened? They knew that too. They said, now we got all the children, we got y'all brainwashed, and
schools are more aware that learning.
We got y'all brainwashed, and we got y'all defeated. We got y'all feeling hopeless. What did Sister Joy Guru say? Joy Guru? She said that post-traumatic slave syndrome. Once they got that in you, That's the completion of the Willie Lynch letter. You feeling hopeless, fear, and that Deuteronomy 28 too. Fear, don't know, fear to go to sleep, fear to wake up, don't know if you're gonna live today or not. No sense of resolve from this thing. That's what's happening now, man. We're at the worst point of that right now, because the devil is mad and he fear his kingdom being snatched out of his hand. So he's turning up the heat. Let's go. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Let's go down here. Yeah, let's go down here. Let me go from, man, it's so many. Y'all see all these titles, man. Go look at them, man.
Why should the migrants have everything provided to them in our expense? I tried claiming the spending card that they are getting and get.
Excuse me, guys.
An exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common.
I think this is Dane Collins. Is this Dane?
Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have?
Look at that, man. That's his
What
body.
was yours? What language did you speak then? 20 million black people don't even know their own language. Why? Because he took it away from them. 20 million black people.
20 million black people. 20 million. Okay?
Who don't even know the history of their ancestors. Why? Because he took it away from them. And they're trying to tell them how thoroughly and completely they've been robbed. He says you're teaching hate. Got people who have been oppressed and exploited by those who are not their own kind, strangers. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
Dane Calloway. Now, did they say Dane Calloway? Yeah, that's Dane Calloway. So you know where to find him, right?
Aborigines.
This is one of the best ones to show you. This is one of the best guys to, if you want to find out how they made you reclassify yourself. If the Indians, Negroes be reclassified to Indians reclassified through the census takers to be Negroes. This dude right here has revolutionized. He has got the best videos to show that. He's got Library of Congress documents and everything. He got the whole works, man. They can't argue against this dude right here. And we have downloaded his videos so y'all can YouTube. You might as well leave them there, okay?
You never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American.
This is the first people, man.
Aborigine actually means from the beginning.
Uh-oh.
Two Latin words. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
All right. So that was that one. Let's see. Let's do this one right here. Is this Dane also?
Casa de la Cultura there, and I'm wearing my shirt.
And ruthlessly defended the border. There are many recorded
Wait a minute.
exploits of them chasing down Apache, Comanche, Americans, Texas Rangers.
Now this brother got a nice video too, man. They got a nice video too. But they got a lot of commentary that...
Meet Niles Knurk. He's the owner of Gurney's. They're a seed company, and they've been selling exclusive varieties since 1866.
Okay.
Used to return them when an agent from Carolina came to reclaim them. The Slaves Telegraph quickly reported this outcome, and soon other runaways began arriving in St. Augustine.
Have you heard?
Florida officials repeatedly solicited Spain for guidance, and finally, on November 7th, 1693, Charles II issued a royal proclamation,
giving liberty to all, the men as well as the women, so that by their example and by my liberty, others will do the same.
What was it was to establish freedom seekers who were making their way down from the Carolinas, escaping slavery. If they made it down to Spanish Florida, they could live free.
And once they got there, they found that there were already people there who were living free. There were formerly enslaved Africans. There were free blacks who were living on the land.
At Nero's town on the Swanee River.
This
Here
is
on
how
the Cola River, even before
Seminole
the
Indians got
Prospect
formed.
Bluff, you had a settlement Nero Cheesy Bluff. They established a separate one where there were several hundred maroon fighters.
Maroon fighters,
You
black
had
fighters.
many settlements of free blacks all through Florida, particularly, late 1700s, early 1800s.
There were also
That's late.
Native Americans. At the same time that was happening, there was the group of Creeks who lived just north of Florida.
White Indians.
And because of moral differences, they splintered into the Upper Creeks and Lower Creeks.
No, wait a
And
minute,
the Upper
I got
Creeks
that
decided
wrong.
that they wanted to break away
Creeks were
and
black.
go down into Florida to get away from the Lower Creeks who were taking on more European ways of life. And one of those was to begin chattel slavery. That's where the idea of the word Seminole comes from, is that some linguists believe that it is a Creek word or Muskogee word, and it's pronounced Shiminole or Seminole. They believe it means runaway because these Creeks believe that part of their group was running away. And so it's also interesting that it fits for what would become the Black Seminoles because they were essentially running away as well. They formed their own villages but were interacting with the Seminoles, so they would become known as the Black Seminoles.
The African and indigenous people lived and worked closely together. And in time, they came to view themselves as a part of the...
Now, who are they to... See how they just start writing history? They just take control of history. Talking about the blacks in Seminole. The blacks and indigenous people. They're saying the same thing. So what they're saying is the people that ran out of slavery from up north, they're calling them the blacks. Okay? That means that they had been schooled and what's the other word? Educated. They had been educated on the weapons of Satan's warfare. They knew the behavior and the characteristics of their enemy because they had been living with them. They raised in those boarding schools and they have, a lot of these were the original, the fathers of the slaves, of us now. These were the original people that here on the land because they had the wherewithal to run and fight this enemy. Children growing up in slavery of these people would have been docile to them. So no, these were the original in the 1800s, 1700s. Yeah, they were still original. They were still the fathers, the ancestors that met the Edomites when they came over here. And so, this is a real good video. Talked about how, how the people that had been enslaved on that East Coast had broke away, fought. They didn't take us into captivity, right? They didn't take us into captivity, not the black people. Not the black people that ran over in Mexico. Not them black Mexicans over there you see over there. They didn't take them into captivity. We in captivity now because they rule the world. And we ain't got nowhere to go. This is the only world we can...
Same loosely organized tribe, cultivating a mutual respect of each other's cultures. The Africans adopted a lot of the Indian garb.
Now, see, I'm going to move from her because they get to talking about them. They helping them steal the land. They helping them. When I say steal the land, oh, no, this ain't our land. That's our identity. The land points to our identity. Who was here first proves that the Bible right that the Northern Kingdom came over here. Stop giving them indigenous people the rights to this land because you are taking our identity away. Because if they were here first, then the Bible's wrong. The Northern Kingdom didn't come here. Unless they came here pale-faced like Gorilla and them trying to teach. All y'all trying to teach that the Northern Kingdoms was pale-faced when they got here. Where they had 2,000 years to turn back human. They've been here since before the Babylonian Empire was in charge. They've been here that long. You think God was going to leave them in the grave? No, he was preparing them to get that meat back on their dry bones, to get life back in them. He was preparing them at the same time. God is always building the people. He's always turning the third and fourth generations back to the original people. It's complete through the third and fourth generation, so they have been over here 1,000 years. How many generations was that? They were black. Everybody over here was black when they got here. When the Edomites and the other nations got here. Okay, let's keep going.
And the Indians adopted African agriculture, music, and folklore.
I want to listen to it because
and they lived this way for
got a
over
lot of history.
100
She's calling
years,
us Africans, though.
raising generations of children in freedom. As Florida continued to be a haven for black freedom, this didn't set too well with antebellum Georgia. They shared a border, and contentions were high. At this point, there was...
Let me tell you something. Do you see why Governor Sanchez and Texans and the Texas government are so bound against Haiti's and Africa and Florida and everything being black? You see why they so racist down there? Because they trying to hold that ground. Because they think it's something spiritual about that land down there. Right? They know we launched an attack on them that they couldn't defeat. Every time they came down, we whooped their ass, man. So they holding their ground. You know how superstitious the Edomites are. They try to act like they ain't, but they scared to death. They don't know what's coming from this spiritual realm. So they holding that. They trying to hold that, right? That's why Governor Sanchez or whatever his damn name is down there, that's why he's so wickedly racist down there. Right? Texas and all around down there under Louisiana. That was the slave port. In the 1800s, when they got the Seminole Indians out of there, they were still shipping people from North Carolina and Florida all around through Texas trying to fortify against Mexico because they knew we were still over there. Although Mexico had become docile and the Spanish Mexicans over there would begin to make their race white by pushing all their ancestry back into the Dark Ages and making their race better with light-skinned people, breathing the hue out of their skin, breathing the humanity out of their nature, making them godless, eager and readily prepared to accept false doctrine Christianity. The Catholic, they showed you. The Catholic took them and boarded schooled them down there too. Okay? So we see how it's happening. I'm going to look at this last video, just a little bit of it. Go back and look at this video, man. This is a good video that fortifies everything about those Seminole Indians, those runaways. That's what Seminole means, runaway. Let's go to this last one right here. This is good.
It's crazy. Eddie, where you get that number from? African Americans, I have no education with that. Period. I don't. I'm not even connecting to that no more. Because that's a system. That's like connecting to say, hey, he's a bad guy. Don't hang with him. Well, find out for myself. I'm not African American at all. My folks is not from Africa. And a lot of people in this room, folks ain't from Africa. Might be a couple.
I told you we're gonna go back to the black.
Ask my girl, like, yo, grandma, what's your background? She's like, Redfoot and black tail Indian. What?
Stop the video and zoom in and look at these pictures, man.
Cherokee in us.
These are the original people of this land. Look, watch this.
I'm like, what the? That's why all Africa, y'all look at me funny. Like, I'm African. Like, you're not, though. Like, you're not. 80% of slaves are already here as natives. It's crazy. Eddie, where you get that number from?
Don't know. Do you care? Americans now, that's what we're talking about. I love America. I love this country. I fought for this country in the 96 Olympic Games. And I'm being the first one.
Hear what he said. He fought for this country in 96. Yeah, you fought, slave. They made you go fight. You fought for the white people. Wasn't no niggas in charge here when in them Olympic Games when you fought, dude. You fought for the white man like he been getting you Mandingo slaves fight each other. Look at Django. That's the fighting you did, bro. That's the Greekish fashion fighting you did.
Yo, I'll be the first one to tell anybody. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. I'm an American.
I like that.
I'm an American. I'm an American.
You're backtracking.
American.
That's good.
American.
So, let's see.
Before diving into the topic of why Walter Plecker labeled American Indians as colored, it's essential to understand who Walter Plecker was and his significance in American history.
Okay. So, you go back and you look at this and you find out. I'm going to go back to Trump. I'm going to make Trump the poster child. Let's make it.
I think we're in an air.
Let's make Trump video the poster child. Okay? Let's thumbnail Trump in there. All right. Okay? He's telling you Obama wasn't shit, man. Y'all Christians, excuse my language, and go back and study them laws, man. You got bigger fish to fry than my language. You got to try to get you some oil in your lamp. Okay. All praises to the Most High. We hope this helps some of you to shake loose from the Stockholm Syndrome and the cognitive dissonance, the hatred you have for your people. Go back and beg your family members' pardon and try to gather together and show love because you're going to need each other. These are perilous times and they're about to attack us like crazy. And let's be ready for them. Let's be hid under the wings of the Most High, Psalms 92. I can't quote it. I used to quote it all the time. Under the he that dwell in the under the Most High. You go back and look at. I don't even know what script. You know what I'm talking about. Abide under the wings of the man. I can't quote it. I'm not gonna try to. Go look for it for me. Somebody put it. Would you please put it on? I know how to find it. I open the Bible and find it. But go and do your research and start teaching your people who they are at home, because that's the only way. And then when you realize you're an Israelite, then you can understand what the duty of an Israelite is. You got to come back and keep these laws and commandments of God with the faith of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what they told you. That's what Christ told you in the last book of the Bible. That's what he told Nicodemus he had to do. So all praises. We hope this helped. We love you all and be blessed today.